Okay, welcome. Today is April 1st, 2025 at 7 p.m. and we are in the Bosch-Freilich meeting room, Mandan City Hall for the 2025 Board of Equalization meeting. This meeting is to review property valuations. Mr. Neubauer, could you please take the roll call?
Commissioners Rohr.
Here.
Braun.
Yes.
Schoberg.
Yes.
Heinchan. Mayor Freilich.
Here. At this point, we will have the presentation of the City Board of Equalization documentation by the Mandan City Assessor. Kimberly.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. We're going to start off with the annual report for the City of Mandan. During this report, we'll be doing a summarization of the values, a summary of our 2024 Assessment Department activities, and just a reminder that any changes in the value that the local, the county, or the state boards of equalization will be reflected in the final valuations. The North Dakota Century Code requires that assessors value or appraise property at the full and true value as of February 1st, 2025. The North Dakota State Board of Equalization requires that overall we must value the property within 90 to 100% of full and true value. With the increases that we have made, we are approximately 96.6 for commercial properties and 94.2 for residential properties. The guidance for our assessment procedures are given to us from the North Dakota Tax Commissioner's Office, the North Dakota Century Code, and recognized standards of mass appraisal of real property. So there are three approaches to valuing real property. We have the sales approach, which uses similar sales to value property. The sales approach is widely used for residential and commercial properties. The cost approach is your land value plus the depreciated cost of any improvements. Income approach is the estimates of present value for future benefits. In Mandan, we have a parcel count of 9,346 parcels. And as you can see, most of those are residential with a little over 6,900 parcels. Commercial, 1,096. Vacant lots, 1,284, and a whole 13 parcels of ag land. If you break down these classes of property by their appraised value, 64% are residential, 27% are commercial and vacant. We have 9% that are exempt and less than 1% that are ag. This is the sales ratio report. This is the report that the state uses to determine if we are within that 90 to 100%, and we call that a tolerance level. And this assures that the market values are adjusted, and we're making sure we're adjusting the market value when we're not counting the exemptions and the new construction. So this first section of the sales ratio workshop accounts for the changes from 24 to 25. In the bottom part of that report, this is showing you that before we made any adjustments, our value, our sales ratio for our values was about 91%. So that's just barely within that tolerance level. So we adjusted the valuations of residential and commercial, and you can see that after that, now we're at 96.6 and 94. So when we look at the total valuations of Mandan for 2025, we're a little over $3 billion. Yes, and then the increase for over the 24 valuation is $142 million, or about 4.9%. And of that, new construction, $26 million we had, and then we broke it down for residential and commercial. Excuse me. For residential, that new construction was $17 million, and for commercial was $8.7 million. When we look at the residential side of it, we had 244 sales that we used for valuing for 25. That's a little bit less than last year. Last year we had 255 sales to look at. So our overall increase on the residential side was $89 million, or about 4.4%. And that overall value includes all the new construction, annexation, exemptions that are expiring. And we look at just Just the market increase, it was 3.5. So this last year, when we did our residential review, we looked at the residential lot values. And then part of our normal rotation of reviewing, where we actually physically go and look at the properties, where we send a letter, make appointments, come and we measure the outside, get all the particulars. We call that the zone review. So a portion from 4th Avenue Northeast to 8th Avenue Northeast and between 6th Street Northeast to the interstate. And then a portion from Collins Avenue to 4th Avenue Northwest from Division Street to 14th Street. And then here's the map of that area. And then on the commercial side of things, we had 45 sales that took place in 23 and 24. And we used those sales to determine the 25 valuation for commercial. So our overall increase on the commercial side was $52.8 million or 6.2%. Again, the overall included the new construction, remodeling, exemptions, expiring, annexations. When you look at just the market increase, it was 5.6%. And on the commercial side of it, during our normal rotation, we were looking at some stuff in Zone 2 and Zone 3, and I have a map that shows you that area. This year we sent out 743 notices of increase, which is down from last year's of 1,180 notices. Of those notices, 100 of them were like new lots or new plats that were filed. 20 of them were exemptions that expired, 145 new construction, and then the rest were market increases, reviews, or other adjustments. Okay, when we talk about exemptions, we have the non-discretionary exemptions, which are in law. These are ones that are granted, and we don't really have a lot of say about those. It's just in our North Dakota Century Code. So things like cemeteries, hospitals, schools, nonprofits, your blind wheelchair exemptions, and your churches would be examples. Discretionary exemptions are ones that we can make those decisions at the local level. So for example, your 1-year new construction, your Renaissance zone, commercial and residential remodeling, your pilot programs, and out of those, we had 38 of those for 25. If we break down these different kinds of exemptions by value, your exemptions, your non-discretionary ones that require applications, like your blind and wheelchair exemption, your nonprofits, and your churches, that's 3.3% of the total value. Your non-discretionary things like that are owned by your cities, your counties, the state, that's about 5% of our total value. The discretionary ones, the ones that we can make decisions at the local level, that's less than 1%. Just wanted to review with you the reimbursed credits. These are credits that are through the state that the state offers, and they pay us back at the local level. So the homestead property tax credit, those are for people that are 65 years or older or permanently and totally disabled and have an income of $70,000 or less. And as of late last week, we have 567 applications that were submitted. The Disabled Veterans Program, that is for veterans that are 50% or greater disability. We have 199 participants. And just last year was the first year of the primary residence credits. So the people that applied last year, we had 4,733 properties that received that in Mandan, which is taking off over $2 million on people's tax bills. So if there's any questions for me, and if there's anybody here, we'll just have you sign in when we get to the public portion of the meeting, and we did receive some appeals by email and phone also. And adjustments that will be submitted to the county for consideration at the Morton County Board of Equalization on June 10th at 6 o'clock. And tonight I'll be asking you to approve this report that I just gave and to make motions on our appeals for the tax rolls.
Okay, at this time, we're going to approve the report you just presented.
That is correct. That is
So-
what I'm requesting.
Yes. So Commissioners?
Mayor, I'd like to excuse myself from
No,
the number one
no, not at this point.
at this point.
We're just going to accept the broad overview of the report.
The PowerPoint, essentially, the PowerPoint, yep.
The report, I'm sorry. Okay.
Kim,
So-
I have a couple questions. The state guidance between 90 and 100%, do we, within the city, have our own policy? Are we trying to reach 100% for everything? Are we trying to get 95? I mean, each year, we just try to stay within that parameter of 90 to 100?
Yes, legally, we have to stay in that parameter between 90 and 100, and personally, I try to be between 93 and 95. I just don't feel like we should try to lose ground if values are still going up. We just don't want to have to try to just squeak by a 91, and then all of a sudden we have to play catch-up. That's not a good policy.
Okay, I was looking for maybe a median, and you answered that question. Second question is, of those three ways that we can assess property, do we use one? Do we do a combination of all three? How does that work?
Mayor and Commissioner Braun, the most widely used is the sales approach. That's the one you have the most data. There are times where we have used the income approach, mainly with apartment buildings. If you have enough data, that's a really good way, and usually between the two, they should mesh really close. If you have unique properties, that would be the time you would use a cost approach. We haven't had to do that. So we use the sales approach.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? At this time, I would entertain a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Braun, a second by Commissioner Schoberg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Rohr,
Yes.
Schoberg,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich.
Yes. At this time, the public is invited to express any question, comments, or concerns regarding the 2025 annual report and 2025 property valuations. I would ask that you approach the podium, sign in, and state your name. Any comments? Anybody online or no? I'll make a third call for comments. Okay, hearing none, the open forum is closed. And we'll go on to new business, recommendation for appeals submitted to the City Board of Equalization. Kimberly?
Mayor and Commissioners, in your agenda packet, I did provide you with any emails or information of people that indicated they'd like to appeal to our office. And there in your list, we have 15 of them, and I've given you my recommendations on that list. So I guess I'm requesting a motion to approve the recommendations that I've presented.
Okay, at this time, we'll treat this like a consent agenda. Are there, do I have a motion to approve all of the items, names, or are there any that you want removed due to a
Mayor,
conflict?
Mayor, I'd like to remove myself from the number one appeal
Okay, we'll table one.
as do the relationships involved here.
Okay, one is tabled. Can I get a motion to accept the remaining?
I'll make a motion to accept the remaining recommendations for appeals submitted to the City Board of Equalization.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Schoberg, a second by Commissioner Braun. Roll call, please. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioners Braun,
Yes.
Schoberg,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich,
Yes.
and Commissioner Rohr.
Yes.
Okay, now we will take up item 1. Can I get a motion to accept item 1 with Commissioner Rohr recusing himself?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Brown, a second by Commissioner Schoberg. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call?
Commissioner Braun,
Yes.
Schoberg,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich.
Yes. Is there anything else on the agenda? Help me out here. This is
Mayor
my
and
first rodeo.
Commissioners, nope, that's it for tonight.
And that is it. Okay, that was,
Mayor, I have a question. Kimberly, with these people that appeal now, you have spoke to them all individually or you have had prior contact regarding to their concerns and dealt with their particular concerns. Is that correct?
Yeah, Mayor and Commissioner Rohr, that is correct. We have either through email or phone calls, we have talked to all these people on this list. There's a couple that, like number 15, that one there, they've talked to us and they're going to present more information at the next meeting. So anybody that missed appealing tonight or is not happy with something that we did here tonight has the right to appeal to the county board, and that will be on June 10th. So they would contact the Morton County Tax Director, and that's the next step.
Were there any modifications made on any of those prior to what you presented to us tonight?
Yes, there were a couple on this board. There's, I don't know, probably a third of them that we've recommended lowering the value. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
okay. And with that, any further questions for Kimberly? None? We are adjourned. Thank you.